Welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Satoli. Today we're in Hayden, Indiana at the Hayden Museum. This museum, this part of the museum, is called A Place Called Yesterday. And I'm with Lester Tracy. How you doing, Lester?
Doing fine, thank you.
Thanks for coming out and meeting with me today. This is an amazing part of the museum. All we have here are basically music boxes and organs and pianos, plus a collection of Life magazines. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So tell me, earlier you were talking about how you got started collecting these music boxes. This is all of your collection from what I understand. And you started to tell me how you got into this with the auctions. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it was, I say it was accidental. 1972, I was to a farm auction over here at Vernon, actually. And in those days, that was a social event. Everybody went to a Saturday auction. Didn't intend to buy anything, as most people didn't, but almost all of us always take something home.
Right.
They were selling some hand tools out of a little shed out in the barnyard. And after they sold out the tools, the farmer brought out an old Edison phonograph. The cabinet work was all scratched and banged up. He commented that 20 years ago, Mom and I decided we'd get music off of the radio. We didn't need this old phonograph.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I guess I've abused it, even though I did save it. I said, I need to get rid of it. He said, there's a bonus goes along with it, though. It don't play. So he said, see if anybody wants it. So the auctioneer started off about $25 and kept coming down with his bids because nobody wanted it.
Right.
Till it got down to $2. Someone raised their hand on $2. Then he started asking for $3. And I say it was an accident. I don't know what happened. But all suddenly, just my arm went up. I swear I didn't raise it. I knew nothing about phonographs, never cared to know. But when I raised my hand, it was sold for $3.
And you got it.
I got it. Well, I might as well take it home. $3, I'll have a little enjoyment out of it maybe. But I opened up the lids and the drawers and the doors on it. And first thing was a big mouse nest. That was another bonus.
Yeah.
But I took the motor out, and I could see the old grease, and they just dried up hard as a rock. And I'll just clean that up. I got a can of gas and a paintbrush and cleaned up the works.
Right.
And it ran just pretty good. Well, there were some records stored in the bottom. I give one of them a bath because they were dusty, dirty. And I put it on, and I was amazed what a good tone that thing had.
Huh.
I thought, well, gosh, I enjoyed reviving an old dead machine and having music. Well, I believe I'll just start collecting Edison phonographs because I'd seen from time to time in the past. So that's what started it, just accidental. I had no intention, no knowledge about what I was getting into. But I'll have to say I enjoyed the pursuit over the next 40 years, just going to auctions.
And that evolved into collecting pianos and organs also, correct?
Well, I just have one player piano,
Okay.
But I would have interest in anything musical.
Okay.
But I'm particularly music boxes and phonographs.
And how many do we have here in the museum?
50 some odd ones.
And they're all different shapes and sizes?
Yeah, there's no two alike in here.
Well, can you show us how some of these operate?
I'd be glad to.
Okay, great.
That's part of the joy of pursuit of the collection.
Absolutely.
But now sharing it with anybody that wants to listen.
Okay, well, let's check them out.
Okay. Okay, here we have a cylinder phonograph made by Edison. He invented the phonograph in 1877, and all records were cylinder records. It slipped on, tapered cylinder, and Edison also used a diamond point instead of steel needles. As competitors, people tried to cheapen it to be a competitor, so a steel needle is good for about 3 plays. It wears down and then it wears out the record if it gets dull. And that was a problem because people didn't change steel needles often. But that record that I held up there is 94 years old. Of course, it's always been played on a cylinder with the diamond point pickup. That sounds just about as good today as it did 94 years ago. Sears and Roebuck picked up this machine and put it in their catalog and mass marketed it. After about the third year, it got down to under $15. So we'll play a little on this. Here we have a hand crank roller organ. It plays a paper roll. Let's see, holes in the paper. The sound comes out this slot right here. The bellows are in the bottom. But as you play, if you think it's a little bit loud, your volume control is close the flap. It does tend to muffle the sound a bit. Okay, here we have the 78 RPM records. Soon after the cylinder records that we saw a little earlier come on the scene, Edison's competitors come up with the idea of a flat record. You get a song on each side instead of just one per record. These are easier to store and ship and so forth. We had these cabinet models with record storage. And then we have other just tabletop models. But all of these used a steel needle to pick up the sound rather than a diamond point that Edison stayed with. But here's a good old one. It's a little scratchy, but I like the tune.
Those old phonograph records, the ones we used to play so long ago. What if they sound scratchy? The tunes really were catchy, and especially those that said I love you so. When the stars were gone in a mighty aeroplane, flew a boy in search of fame, far across the bounding main. Like a bird on high, out to do or die on his journey over there. Many million hearts beat for him, and the whole world said a prayer for Lindbergh. Oh, what a flying soul was he! Lindbergh, his name will live in history. Over the ocean he flew all alone, gambling with fate and with dangers unknown.
People wonder what's in my box. I've had all kinds of guesses. But several people say, "Is that your toolbox?" And I'll agree. Would you like to see my tools? Well, yeah. So I'll show you what's in my toolbox. Here we have a street organ. This was handmade in Germany in 1994. It's a reproduction of an 1850 era street organ, commonly known as the monkey organ. You'd have your monkey to accompany maybe. There's 74 pipes here. It plays a paper roll. It has about 5 tunes on most rolls. And it sounds like this. Regina Music Box. Regina was a German company. They come to America around 1900 to get away from import taxes because this music box is expensive before we taxed it. It was about the late 1920s, the radio kind of put the music box out of business. You played metal disc, one tune, that was all that was on it. But it had a wonderful sound, yet today it hasn't been duplicated. You just heard the home model version of the music box. Here we have a commercial model. It's actually a forerunner of the jukebox. It is coin operated, very expensive, as was the home model as well, but you'd find these in all fancy restaurants and places where the public could drop a nickel in the slot over here and watch what happens. Here we have 10 of those discs, and we don't have a choice. It always plays the next one. So it plays back and forth through those 10 this actually, they're still making replacement or new discs for these old machines. For about $120, you can buy one tune. But they're still available.